Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to learn how to replace the starter on a Hyundai Santa Fe. Now the vehicle we're specifically working with today is a 2008 Hyundai Santa Fe Limited with a 3.3 Lambda engine. Now this procedure with this specific starter, it's specifically for the 3.3 liter Lambdas. However, the starters should still be in the same spot, but from the 2007s to the 2012s, regardless if you have, let's say, a 2.7 liter or a 3.3, or even if you have the later year models, such as the 2011s, it shouldn't differ between the 2.4 and the 3.5 liter engines. They should all still be in the same spot, but you're going to have different part numbers, so be aware of that. And the procedure could be a little different too. Each starter could be made different depending on the model and the year. So just a word of caution there. But the vehicle we're working with today is a 3.3 Lambda, so if you have that following engine, you can follow this procedure step by step to complete what you need to do. So without further ado, let's get to the video. So where is the starter, the piece we're looking for? Well, if we look at the front of our vehicle, we come down here. Oh, we're gonna come down here. Let's see here. Right under here, so we're right up underneath. Come under this little tow hook right here, and it's going to be right here. See this little cover right here? That guy right there? This is where your starter is. So coming back up front, so we got, there's your front, and all the way down. It'll be right there, your aluminum looking cover. Now if you're doing this procedure, make sure the engine is cooled down, otherwise when you touch all this, you're going to burn yourself. It's the last thing you want. So make sure your engine is cool before you do this. Now when looking at the new starter, so here's our new one, and the way it's oriented in the engine, it's going to be oriented exactly like so inside the engine. Now, first off, we got to get off the cover. Now in order to remove the cover, there's 3 nuts that we have to remove. There's one here on the outside on the bottom, one up top, and the one on the middle or the bottom. Once those 2 are out, you can take this cover and slide it out because it is kind of hanging on there like a hinge. Just take it, slide it down, and then you can take it off, and then you'll have access to your cable here. And I'm pretty sure there's another cable right here, but I'll have to verify that whenever we're actually inside of the engine. But you will have a cable right here. So now that we know where those are, let's see what that looks like in the engine bay. So coming down here, so here is our starter once again. So like I said, the orientation, the hinge is going to be on that side up towards the butt, up here, up towards the back there, and then you got the bottom one, and then you got the top one right there. So you'll be those 3, just like I just said, top, bottom, and then this back one right there. So those are the 3 that we need to remove, and now that we know where those are, we can remove them. Alright, now first and foremost, we need to disconnect the battery from the system to de-electrify it. So first, we're going to grab our 10mm socket. We're going to disconnect our negative. Just like so. Just enough so you can get it off. Take that and set it to the side. I usually just set it right here, as long as it's away from the terminal and nothing else that can connect to this battery so that it goes to the system. We're good. So now that this is out of the way, we can now work on our starter, and I'll tell you why in just a moment whenever we get the nuts off for it. Alright, so the main reason I also said to wait till the engine is not hot is because you're going to be way close to the exhaust, which is right here, and then of course your engine. So right now it's just warm, it's not hot, but it is smart not to do it while hot. So we're going to start with the bottom, and then I'm going to move to the tops. These are 10mm nuts. It's probably easier if you use a short socket, but I'm using a long socket right now. So Probably not the best idea, but it's all right. There we go. Yeah, that air compressor, pretty warm. All right, so I dropped the nut there, but that's okay. Just make sure to locate it if you do drop it. So there's one. Go up to the bottom one here. Oh. I only waited for like 30 minutes, and this is after my car's been running for a while. All right, so there's the second one. This one's kind of like a little bit of a bolt, not a nut. Oily. And then for the third one, up here. All right, so there's your third nut. Now I'm holding this in place because if I let it go, you'll see it'll just drop. Now with all three of the bolts off, as you can see, it's pretty loosey-goosey, just sitting there floating. Now this is where the problem would be if your battery was not disconnected. So the space between the negative and the positive for the starter, very, very close to each other. If you're in the process of taking this out, and I've experienced this before because, of course, I was inexperienced at the time, but you would go to take this out, it would bridge the two, and you got like a whole bunch of sparks flying everywhere while you're trying to take this off. So to take this off, you're going to slide this down. Remember, you got the hinge holding on, or this little stud here. You're going to take this, slide it down, and then just kind of slide it down. Now right here is usually whenever it would go because you can see you got the wire up there, and then there's another one kind of hidden. We'll just take that, kind of slide it out like so. Set that to the side, and there, here, as you can see, we have our starter. So we have one bolt, or one cable right here, and then there's going to be another cable up top. That's what this one right here connects to, and this will be your positive right here, and then this is your negative, and it'll bridge them two, especially if the negative right here, see how this is a rubber piece, this can slide and move out of the way, and it will it'll bridge you two, and you'll get a bunch of sparks, so be careful for that. This is why we disconnect the battery first and foremost. So now that that's off, we can get to disconnecting the cables. All right, now remember, your starter's in this position right here. Now as you can take a look at the back here, as we can see, we got two connections. We have a clip, and then we have where our negative cable attaches. So this clip acts as your positive cable. This is your negative. So you're going to have a nut here, and then of course, like I said, this is just a clip. Just unplug that. So I'd start with the negative first. It's the closest and most easiest, or the easiest to access first, and then once that is out of the way, you'll have ample room, hopefully, to reach your hand up there and then unplug that clip. So now that we see where these are, let's undo these. Alright, now when it comes to removing the cable first, it's going to be a tight squeeze. This is why, once again, I said everything's got to be nice and cool, because you're going to be right in here. And it's going to be hard for you to see, so I'm going to try to do this in a way to where you can see it, but it most likely will be impossible for me. So this nut for the cable is a 12mm socket. Reach way up in here. Where are we at? Right there. Alright. Try to loosen it. Like so. Reach in. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see it no matter what I do. You're just going to see my arm. Reach in there. Undo that nut. And I believe this nut, I don't think there's a washer on this nut. So take that off. So there's your nut. Set that to the side because it's its own special nut. And then should be able to take this cable here and just slide it up and off one. All right, just like so. That negative cable's out of the way. Now we just gotta do the positive cable. All right, now when it comes to removing the clip, on the very top, there's a very, very, very small tab next to the starter. And once I get it off, I'll have to show you, and I'll show you on the starter as well, the new one. So you'll reach in, just press in that clip, and then you'll pull it out. It's gonna be hard to do because it's a very, very small space, and you got very little room. You gotta press down hard too. There we go. All right, so just like that, the clip is off. So at the very top, now that it's off, it's right here. As you can see, you can't press that. It's gotta be this that little piece right there. I don't know if y'all will be able to see that. Yeah, so that little piece right there, which is kind of gay, but hey. So that's off. Now that those are off, we can kind of scoot those to the side, and now we can focus on removing the starter from the engine block. Okay, so now that we have the clip and the cable off, we have 2 more bolts holding this on, and then this thing's home free, but they're really hard to get to. The first one, which is the easiest one to get to, this is this guy right here. And the second one is on the other side. It's going to be kind of hidden. It's behind the starter. So these are kind of difficult to get to, and I'll show you why. Going under the engine here. So here we have our starter. Right, so there's our starter, and here's one of the nuts, or one of the bolts right there. But in order to get it, it goes from here to right there. That is the bolt head right there. Let's see if we can kind of see. It's that dark one right there. Right here. That's it right there. And you're gonna have to go behind the engine mount just to get to it. And then the other one is going to be even farther up. So for this one, you're going to need an extension. I'll tell you the bolt size whenever we actually go to remove it, but you will need an extension for this. And there's once again very little room, so you're going to have a fun time doing this. So now that we know where at least one of them is, and then I'll show you about where to do the second one once the first one's out, we'll move on to that one. But let's go ahead and move on to removing this first one. Alright, now whenever you do this, something I didn't mention earlier is that there are actually 2 bolts in this area. You have the one we're wanting, which is this guy right here, right? This is this black one right here. But then there's a second one connected to this. It brings together the engine block and the tranny, either that or it's just the second part of the engine block, but whatever. There's a second bolt right here, as you can see. So there's one here, and then there's one here. Don't touch this one. Don't touch this one right here. You want this one right here that's connected to the starter. All right. Now, if you do undo this one, it's all right. Just tighten it right back. All right. Now, I don't know the torque specs for that one, and I don't know the torque specs for this one, but I will find out this one. I'm not going to worry about this one because we want this one, right? So don't touch that one. Touch this one. So whenever you do this one right here, this is a 14mm socket or a 9/16. I'm using a 9/16 today, and I just happen to have like a humongous 9/16. That's like an extended socket. Look at this thing. This thing's massive. And this is the perfect height that I need just to get behind this engine block, because you got to be able to reach all the way back here just to get to this bolt, as you can see, and there's not a whole lot of room back there, right? So you want to make sure that you get the correct socket with the correct link. And as you can see, I'm still having a little bit of issue trying to get there. All right, so there you go. Now I'm on it. So, and the second thing as well is you have a pan over here that you're going to have to watch out for. All right, so whenever you do this, try not to, whenever you loosen it, try not to go too far that way, or you might scar it and you don't know what kind of damage you'll cause. So now that we kind of went over that, let's loosen this bolt. Did I not loosen that? I want to see. It's just on there good. There we go. Take that off. Reach in here. All right. It's gonna be fun trying to tighten this back on. All right, there she's out, covered in oil too. All right, now this next bolt is gonna suck. So we just finished doing this bolt that was in this cavity, right? This next one is way up there, like I said, way up in this next cavity. So in order to get there, you can either one, just reach up there and you can feel around and you'll feel the bolt head. It's the exact same bolt as the other one that we just did. It'll have a rim around the bolt, or you can reach up around here, not around here, which way was it? Okay, yeah, it's up here. Either reach around up from the starter, you kind of ring your way up above the mount, and you can put your hand up here, right? There's my finger, and then you can feel that, and you can do it that way if you'd like. But that may be the easiest way, doing it that way, like so. Bring your hand up around here so you got your engine mount right. Did this one over here. Bring your hand up, and you can feel the bolt up here. This will probably be the easiest way. If your hands are bigger, mine are smaller, so I can kind of reach up top, but there's just more access doing it up this way. So now that we got that, let's grab my bolt, my wrench, and try to get this one out. All right, so finally got my socket in place, just to kind of show you where it's going to be at. It's going to be right there, really, really, really tight squeeze. So this is going to be fun. So now that we see that, let me grab my breaker bar, see if I can break that off. See if I can just break this bolt for now. Oh, I thought it moved for a second. Okay. Figure something out here. Alright, so for this top bolt, what I've decided to do is I'm just going to go through the battery and the battery tray to hopefully give me a little space to go in there, if it'll give me enough room. I'm hoping it does, but there's no guarantee because it's just a small space. So to take off the battery, we've already taken off the negative. We just got to take off the positive. Once again, it's a 10 millimeter. Once it's off, take it up, set that to the side somewhere, whichever way, it don't matter. And then next, there's going to be a 13, I believe it's a 13 millimeter bolt down there for the battery hold down. We just got to remove that now. To remove that battery hold down, it's a 13 millimeter or a 1/2 inch socket. I'm using a 1/2 inch. Don't take too much. I'm going with my hand once it's enough, just so I don't lose this bolt. Probably could have done a little more, but it's all right. All right, grab that bolt, slip it on out, and then grab your hold down and pull that out. Once your battery's free, just grab it and lift it up. Set it to the side. Next, there's 2 clips keeping the positive cable in place. We need to take these, push them towards the tray that way, and lift up at the same time. So here's one side, and there's the other. Once that's done, lift straight up and it's disconnected. After that, we can move on to the 4 bolts connected to the tray. When removing these 4 bolts, these are a 12 millimeter bolt or socket. Just loosen them all up. So they're all broken. And then you can remove them all one by one. So there's one. Probably be faster with my socket. There's two. There's three. And there's four. Set those bolts to the side so you don't lose them. Once those four bolts are removed, there's another bolt up here, a single 10mm bolt. Take that, move it to the side. I don't think anything else is connected to that. Now you should, let's make sure it's free, yep, should be able to take your tray and slide it right out. Alright, so looking inside here, looks like our gamble paid off a little bit. So as we can see right there, let's zoom in, there is our starter bolt. That's the bolt we need to remove. And remember, that is a 9/16 or a 14mm. So let me grab my socket, and as you can see, we got plenty of room to reach down in there. So let me grab my stuff and we can remove that bolt. Now, in order to get to this bolt, I had to do something kind of stupid. I have my 1/4" wrench with a 14mm small little adapter to go from a 1/4" to a 3/8. And then I have my 3/8 breaker bar with a socket on the end so that I can kind of get a little bit of an edge on it because it's in such a tight, cramped spot. But as we can see, I'm able to loosen it, as wacky as this looks. But hey, sometimes you gotta do wacky stuff. So now that I can finally start loosening this bolt, let's get it off. Alright, try to get this bolt off all the way now. Maybe, we'll see. Still kind of being a little bit of a butthead. Where am I at? Here we go. That's awesome. Oh, actually, the bolt's off now. Alright, there's the bolt. Now with the last bolt out, we can finally, as we can see, it's loosey-goosey. We just gotta take it, try to maneuver it out. Just like so. Oh Lord, look at all that oil, no wonder it failed. And just like that, there's the starter. Alright, so here we have the new one and we have the old one. Old one, of course, worn, covered in oil, but these Hyundais are known for leaking oil, especially the 2007 to 2010s or 12s, whatever. So one notable difference is the old one's a little bit chunkier and this one's a little more slimmed down. I mean, obviously this is a newer one. It was manufactured at a earlier year. Let's see. So this one's 2021, and I guarantee you this one's probably the original starter, but I don't see a print date on it, so we're just going to say this was the original starter. So let's say, what is it, 2007, because they always do a year early. So 2007 versus 2021. So this one's thinner, this one's chunkier. You might think, hey, is there going to be a issue with fitment since this one's a little thinner? No, I don't think so, because the main part you got to worry about is the travel distance between the solenoid and the gear, which this one does seem to have a little bit of a longer travel time than this one. This one's a little shorter, but it shouldn't be an issue. And then, but the most important part is where your starter is attaching to the engine block, which that's the exact same. I mean, granted, Maybe it has a little bit trimmed off right here, but there's nothing wrong with that. So in theory, this one should squeeze in a little easier than this one was coming out. So now that we've seen the difference, let's install this one. All right, now remember, the position that we're putting this in is going to be going this way. Not that way, not that way. It's going to be this way. Got the shield facing you, motor up top, and the little hinge down here, remember, it's going to be on the bottom. So this is the position that it's going to be in. Alright, so we're going to slide our new starter. Remember the position that I showed you, or that it's supposed to be in. Let's see if we can slide this in. You want to make sure you clean your mating surfaces too. That way they don't get all gunked up. But if your engine bay is all covered with oil like mine is, then that's going to be impossible to do. And mine's upside down. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Make sure that one piece is hanging down. Slide you up here. Alright. And I'll probably leave him right there for now. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna leave him right there. And what I'll probably do is I'll try to grab one of my bolts. I'll probably start with the bottom. That way I can hold it up into position, then tighten it down. And that way, whenever it's in its slot, I'll be able to just slide the top bolt in. So let me grab my bottom bolt, slide it in, and try to tighten it a little bit as much as I can. And then we'll move on to the top bolt. I'm going to try to slide my bolt through. I don't know if I'll be able to, though. But I'm going to try it. Let's see. Slide that through. There. Try to tighten this on if I can. Also, be careful not to strip it. I don't know if this is made of steel or aluminum, but just be careful. Let's see, I may back this up a little bit. There we go. There we go. I think that's in. Yeah, that's in. Okay. I'm going to grab my socket, see if I can't just tighten that on by hand. If I can find my socket. There we go. A little bit at a time. Yep, okay, that's what I want. Alright, now that's, I don't have that snug, I have it loose so I can get my, as you can see, so that I can have my other bolt in there and then tighten it down from the top, and then I'll get them both tight. Alright, stick the bolt down in the hole and hope that it has some kind of bite on that starter. Where am I at? Here we go. Nope, that's the opposite way. There we go. So I am going to go ahead and get this one snug, just like so. And now that that one's snug, move to the bottom, get that one snug. Alright, so get your wrench, put it in your spot. Remember, it's a 14 millimeter or 9/16. And I'm doing the same doohickey I did earlier with the Wacky Jerry rig. This time I got a tighter socket, so it won't slip as much. Now, I don't know the torque specs for this guy. It could be around 30 foot-pounds from what I've seen on other engines, but not specifically for the Santa Fe. So I would say just get it good and tight, snug. Don't over tighten it. You'll know when to stop. So I'm just going to get it good, nice, tight on it. I think one more turn and I should be good. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I should be good. Alright, we'll move on to the bottom. Alright, got my breaker bar on there because once again, torque wrench don't really fit back here. So we're just going to tighten it. And I think I'm going to leave it at that a tiny bit more because I don't want to strip the threads. Actually, I think that's about as far as I'll be able to go on that. Oh. Maybe. Alright, right there. Right there is where I'm going to stop. Alright. Now that those are tightened on, we can go to put on our wire and our clip. This is a 12mm socket, or 12mm nut. Don't drop the socket on your face. Good. Make sure it's in between these and it's not on top. This looks like it is. Yep. Okay. Alright. Grab my wrench. And the torque specs for these are very low. I think it's like inch-pounds, so it ain't going to take much at all. Real small space once again. Apologize. Alright, that should be good there. Take your rubber piece right here. Slide it down just so I can go over that nut. That way nothing can get on it. There we go. There we go, just like that. Maybe slide it down that wire a little bit. That's probably about as good as I'm gonna get it, I think. There we go. Yeah, I think it's about as good as I'm gonna get it. Alright, just like so. Yep, pushed it back down on there. Now we can go up top, connect our, actually not yet, we can just do our cover first. Let's do our cover first and then we'll do the battery. Alright, now remember we gotta do the clip first and then we'll do the, there it is, we'll do the clip first and then we'll do the cable. The clip, remember this tab up here, it's gonna go up top. So find our clip, make sure it's facing up top. Maybe I don't have it in there right. Hang on. There it is. There we go. Push it in until it clicks. That's good. Take our wire. Slide it on there. Remember, it's going to be a little bit angled. So take it on there. Push it over. Just like so, till it's on there like that. And then we'll grab our nut. We'll tighten that down. When it comes to doing this cover, remember, I like to do, or at least I do, do the hinge first. That way it can actually have some kind of bite or grip on something while you try to get these nuts in place. So you're going to slide it onto that bottom hole of the cover. Let it sit. I'm going to grab my nut. Remember, you got one nut and two bolts. The nut goes on the bottom and the bolts go on the side. Tighten this up a tad bit just so that them holes up here are lined up. Just like so. Alright, next we're going to do these two bolts. These two bolts usually are really difficult to get, and they're really annoying. I may block the camera view during this time. Alright, so there's one. Got the bottom one. Let's do the top one. And there's the top one. Cool. Last time I did this, I had so many issues trying to get these on because I believe the person who did it last really messed up the holes, or the threads, so they wouldn't slide in right. Alright, so that cover's on. Grab my socket. I'm going to grab my wrench. Tighten these on really lightly, just like the other one. Just snug. Oh. Because after all, it is aluminum. That should be good there. A lot more room to torque this one down, or tighten it down at least. Alright, that's good there. Do this one more time. That's good. That's good there. Your cover is on. Now let's go back up top and reassemble the battery tray. Alright, now remember, for the battery tray, it's got to slide underneath the air box. So, move this guy out of the way. Slide him under here. Just like so. Make sure all your holes are lined up. Go ahead and stick your bolt on the side here. Alright, so I got that one started for now. Let's go ahead and grab our other 4 bolts. One there. One here. One here. Alright, and I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, these are 12 millimeters. Let's see here. Yep. Grab my wrench. And I'm just going to get these nice and snug. I ain't going to worry about torquing these down to spec. It's just plastic, and it's just holding down the battery. Alright, so those are good. Grab my 10 mil, I'll tighten this down. Alright, that should be good there. Nice and firm, not going nowhere. Okay, now we can grab our battery, slap it up here. Actually, first, before we do that, grab your positive cable, slide it in your tabs. Alright, until they both click. Click, click. Now we can grab our battery. Next, we're going to grab our battery. Go ahead and slap it in here. Not tearing your fingers up or nothing. Oops. Or slamming it down like that. It's a very tight space for a battery. Kind of dumb. Alright. Make sure it's on. Make sure this little hold down piece under behind the battery is actually on top of it. Alright, there we go. And then let's go ahead and get our battery hold down. It's going to go in this orientation. Slide it down here. Grab your bolt, stick it in the bolt hole. You can reach that. Once again, really tight spaces. They definitely made use of every single nook and cranny in this engine bay. I'll tell you what. It's one thing they did do right. They used every single space. I'm gonna grab my 13 millimeter for that. Alright, so it was a 12, not a 13 millimeter. Go ahead and tighten this down here. Alright, nice and snug. Once again, I don't have a 3/8 wrench, so grab my breaker bar, getting it nice and snug. Should be good. Alright, now we can connect our battery terminals. We're going to take our positive, attach it first, right? Just like so. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. Get your 10 millimeter. Alright, make sure it's not going to go anywhere. Slap that down. Now take your negative, and I usually like to tap it. This will also let you know if you did your starter right. If you did your starter right and the plugs aren't touching or anything like that, everything's right, then you won't see a spark down there. So I'm going to attach this, see how it goes. Good to go. And you'll also hear crackling or see sparks as well. That means you got a good connection going. Let's see, loosen this up a little bit here. Nope, that is loose, okay. Alright, slam it down on there. Make sure it's fully seated on the terminal. Okay, then we can tighten this down. Alright, that should be good. Now it shouldn't be able to move, which I can kind of move mine, which means that this is starting to go out. Yep, because that's tightened down all the way. So that means it's starting to go out a little bit, which I guess it's alright for now. It's not going anywhere, as you can tell. So now that that's all done, we are basically done with this procedure. Now we can crank our engine and see if our starter works. Alright, thank you so much for checking out the video. I hope that it helped you out and that you learned something new. If y'all didn't know yet, I do have a website, the Caswell Kappa Center. It is at caswellskappa.wixsite.com/home, of course. But it's got all kind of good stuff on there. Now, it's mainly for the Kappa platform, like the Saturn Sky and Pontiac Solstices. But every now and then, I get a random hair in my butt, and I like to do other vehicle, like the Hyundai Sonatas or the Hyundai Santa Fe's, even Chevrolet Cobalts, as y'all can see on my channel. So be sure to check that out. Check out the procedures. Maybe you'll find something that you need to do, and you'll have the instructions and the directions on how to do it. All right, well, that's all I have for y'all today, and I'll see y'all next time. Till then.